Hello, beautiful souls. So, we're going to clear up the illusion about sex. Now, you know, when one hears the word sex, whatever came to your mind is possibly an illusion that was painted to you from someone who possibly had sexual trauma as well. For a majority of us, a lot of us are connected to sexual trauma. A lot of us are born from sexual trauma. Now, anything that is pure, you know, individuals whose energy is not pure, they go above and beyond to definitely make it something that it's not. So, sex is definitely pure. You know, tantric sex has definitely been exploited. But what we're going to do is we're going to basically, if this tree of sex, let's imagine sex is a whole full-blown tree, we're going to cut it down and uproot it. And we're going to plant a brand new seed in our psyches of what sex, healthy sex is. Because a lot of us, you know, when we think about fantasies, we think about positions, we think about pleasing our lovers, but that is not what sex is about. Some of us think it's about reproduction. There's all of these rituals based around sex. And it's time for us to go back to the beginning of time. So let's understand. Okay, you want to fall out. We have the Four of Wands in reverse. We have the Priestess of Swords upright. And then we have the card about the creator of this deck. So I'm going to read from the Priestess of Swords. So this would be Queen of Swords, sending out prayers and plans, strong sight. Okay, and the Four of Wands in reverse. Let me see. So, upright, it's play, celebration, and rejoicing, rites of passage, spring, adolescent vitality. However, in reverse, this is showing me with the Queen of Swords, a lot of us are definitely on guard about sex. A lot of us are getting wrong information. So when we're coming into this world, we're already feeling something is off. And if we're in environments where we can't actually express this, and then when we're bombarded with media that's talking about safe sex practices, sexual diseases, sexual addictions, child pornography, you just anything related to sex, it's a very critical because one wants to have wisdom, but we're doing it from a place where our minds have lost that childlike spirit due to sexual trauma. And we're viewing it as a lot of adults view things. I have to do this. This is what I need to do. I have to do it this way. This is the only way I can do it. So a lot of us, when we're coming into the world and we're born from sexual trauma, we are basically very wary of sex. And we're carrying with us this ideology of sex where, you know, we have to do it, please someone. Perfectionism. This false ideology. So, and with this card here telling me about the creator, it's as if whatever was programmed with the sexual trauma, this is what we're believing sex is. So for a lot of you guys, some of you, you know, may be discovering you like certain things with sex. And if you really look deep, this is something that was passed on from family to family. So if some of you guys are into BDSM, there's people in your family who are into BDSM. Things like that, you know? All right, so let's get some more cards here. So we're coming into this world thinking that sex is something from basically repeated... That's too many cards. Repeated sexual trauma. And, you know, there was this ad where the guy was saying, what's the most, the business that keeps, you know, that keeps the world going? And he said sales, but it's, you know, it's people are believing that sex sells because some perverted individual allowed their lust to get the best of them to make decisions. I mean, think about it. The reason a lot of men want to attain money is to attract a partner. And a lot of people believe that men express their love through sex. However, for a woman who's insecure, she's going to acquiesce to this because she wants to feel the affection that she was denied in her childhood. But what comes with acquiescing to this particular way of thinking is high levels of anxiety. Because a lot of people are carrying a lot of sexual trauma from generations ago where sadism was involved. So much to the point that, you know, the more risque that sex became, because a sadist would, you know, realize that they had tortured a person one way long enough, they would find another way to torture someone even more. So this is where this ideology of pain and pleasure came from. A sadist would try something and really psychically fuck someone up to a point where the person was trying to get so far away from pain that the sadist would do some really crazy fucked up shit to torture the victims, that then they would over flood them with pleasure, so the person would overindulge in pleasure just to get away from the pain. And whenever trauma of the pain would come to the surface and be triggered, the person who was under the guise of this very dark sex magic, because it's exactly what it is, which is turned into generational curse and trauma after generational curse after generational trauma, after generational curse after generational trauma, this person would develop an addiction to make sure that that pain did not impact them the way it impacted them in that very moment when these dastardly acts of torture was done to their body to produce high levels of pain using acts of sex. So this is where you're going to notice there are individuals who they will say, I love sex. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not understanding that their bloodline has so much trauma connected to it. For example, you can meet someone and they can blow your fucking mind the first time. However, you know, what you see of them is what they show you. But if this person is not conscious of what their family experienced from the beginning of time, you will not know that, you know, you might trigger something in them that will have them do these dastardly sexual acts to you. This is how dark the times that we are living in right now. And let's say there's a family line where people are just, you know, used to these dark hidden aspects of themselves, where days of sadism took place. They're not aware of it. But that one person triggers that one person in the family lineage. And this person whatever was in the DNA is activated in them, and they take it out on someone else. Now, this person may seem as if they're the only ones who have this in their bloodline. No, the whole fucking family has it. That's why subconsciously family members who are doing dumb fuck shit as well will cover for another family member who is doing some really fucked up shit, because they subconsciously know they have it within themselves as well. So a lot of us, I remember when I first started really exploring my sexuality, I would buy Cosmopolitan. I would look up, how can I please my partner? What can I do to attract a partner? Not really understanding anything. Then there would be, you know, she's a hoe, he's a hoe, and all this terminology, all to cover up the seed of sadism. Sadism, and we're going to talk about this shit, definitely is what a lot of us are basically, the hidden wound of shame and guilt within a lot of us is connected to the pain of sadism from past generational. Sadism is generational in almost everybody. For example, you'll notice in movies where the guy's like, I want to have a threesome, I want to try this, I want to try that, and then you may notice it goes too far. Well, imagine someone decides to walk away from these type of toxic connections. Like, I'm not going to be in a third party situation. You will notice that the person's sexual energy is going to go towards the person that abandoned them in overdrive. And whatever sadist acts was conducted on their ancestors by whoever, because it was not healed, this person has it in them to do it. Now, this is very important to know. There will be some additional parts that's needed to, but a lot of us, some of us may feel very comfortable and safe sexually, and it's because if you do, you took the time to get to the very bottom of it. But sex is very pure, but a lot of us do not actually understand it, because a lot of us are carrying around this trauma wound of sadism that happened from the very beginning of time. Think about it. Humans are naturally curious. And the feminine energy normally gives off this sacred, pure energy of creation. Now, if you think about cavemen, the men were really represented as brute individuals. And the feminine was represented as the person who was the caretaker. But really, feminine energy is a warrior energy. Think about it. We have Xenon, the warrior. So something happened where some quote-unquote cavemen overpowered the women, and the women started thinking, because I have this soft-looking body, I'm weak. And so I'm going to submit to giving birth to children and cooking meals and giving into this individual's sexual pleasure. And so now you fast forward, we have a fucking rape culture.